Welcome back to the Cozy Cottage Homestead. Today is another part to prepare for uncertain times. Um, it's a lot of information, so looks like I might be making several of these videos, probably at least one, maybe two more, because it's a lot. And and I wanted to be sure to not overlook this important fact of the matter. It takes years and years, if you're frugal and you're not rich, to accumulate all the things that you need. And I'll go over some of that, so it doesn't just happen overnight. Some stuff we planned for, some stuff we saved for, but just for beginners, it can be overwhelming. Don't stress over it. Get what you can. Get the important things in place, food, water, and just go from there. If you're able to get more stuff, then over time, keep collecting more and more stuff. So one of the things that I should have mentioned, of course, I have them sitting here on my table, that stores very well, is nuts in their own shells. Now make sure whenever you get them that you have a good nut cracker and a backup nut cracker in case something happens and it quits working. And also a good pair of pliers, the old school way, will do the job as well. But they do last a long time. Is fresh nuts in their own shell. So we do keep a good many of those around just because they're nutritious and they're good for you. But if you have a nut allergy, then yeah, don't worry about getting nuts. But for those that can enjoy them, they're good for you and they're healthy. Another good shelf stable thing that you can have, a food source. So I don't really know what I'm going to title this little series on this part, because it's a lot of different things, but kind of along the same. I kind of grouped them all in the same category. So of course, oil lamps, candles. Okay, so my battery said it was charged, but it wasn't, and my camera just died. So let me start over with a fresh battery. Oil lamps, candles, extra wicks, flashlights. Now you're going to need fire starter, matches, lighters, flint. A good natural fire starter is pine cones. They work really great. You can pick them up, make it a fun thing with the kiddos. Get some feed bags full of pine cones and you'll have plenty of fire starter for the winter or for cooking outside over an open fire. Be careful with candles, lanterns, lamps, stuff like that around small children and pets, around curtains. So have those in safe places so that you don't have any disasters or accidents. But and also with the solar lights, even the little cheap ones that you can buy from like Dollar Tree or Walmart, you can let them charge outside and then bring them in at night when it gets dark. They actually do provide a good bit of light. So definitely have a stockpile of those. Because if there's no power, it's going to be dark. I mean, we've implemented some solar shop lights in key areas where we're at in the evening, especially during the winter when dark falls sooner, so that we can still have light. Do they last all night? No, they don't last all night, but they last 4 or 5, 6 hours, long enough to get the chores done or bring in firewood or whatever it is that we're working on or whatever we're finishing up. So it definitely start collecting some solar types of lights, variety types. And then we do have the security lights that are solar, that click off and on if the motion censored. Also inside, I think it was called the, oh my goodness, Mr. Bright or Mr. Light. I know Hippie Chick, my friend up in Maine, off-grid Maine, she had mentioned those. We bought some of those. They are excellent. So you do need to keep a supply of batteries so that you can replace those whenever they whenever they run down or get rechargeable type of batteries. So solar chargers, solar panels. Of course, they sell all of the little power boxes that you can charge, like the I forgot what, there's so many different varieties now. But even just a small simple one, we actually have a small simple one, and then little small solar panels that recharges phones, recharges lights, and puts light in the house. This one here, actually the light that's in here is from one of the solar lights that we use, rechargeable. This is just a simple little box. I think it says blue carbon. It has a 5-year warranty. It works excellent. You can run one light or you can run all 3 lights. So that works really good. You can recharge it with a little tiny solar panel, or you can recharge it with a charger if you have electricity. Different little boxes like that that you can charge and recharge. So they're very inexpensive. I think that one was $50 whenever we bought it. Now they might be around $75. Camping equipment is very good for off-grid situations. Camp stoves, having a fire pit, even if you have an electric stove and if you don't have power, it's not going to work. Gas stoves are lifesavers. Yes, it's miserable, and yes, it's hot during the summertime. We do have an independent gas source and a gas stove, but I can tell you I wouldn't trade it for the world. I would not want an electric one, because when the power goes out, again, we still have a way to cook our food. Now we do have a fire pit that we made a camp stove outside, and then we do have camping equipment, the little gas stove and everything. So it's good to have a backup for the backup. Of course, if you're cooking with wood, you need to have a supply of firewood so that you can cook with. Buddy heaters or a fireplace, both of those work excellent. Be sure to have good ventilation in your house if you use either one of those, because you're going to need a way to have ventilation to keep everyone safe. Canning equipment, jars, lids, pots, and a non-electric can opener for cans that you may have stocked up on, so you can still open those without electricity. Sometimes that manual can opener is overlooked. Yes, you still can get into that stuff, but it's a lot easier and safer if you have a can opener. And the same thing with the canning stuff. Maybe you don't have a lot of it yet, but just keep collecting more and more until you get a good bit. Depends on the size of your family as to how much canning, jars, lids. You know, I can't really put a number on that. We keep a stock of all of the canning lids, and we have a good bit of jars and canning stuff, so over years accumulating stuff. Paper goods, foil, freezer bags, freezer paper, tape, clear wrap, all of that's good if you have a freezer, but it's also good just to store dry goods in them. And don't forget about what happens if you run out of paper towels or toilet paper. I know everybody heard about that a couple of years ago when all that stuff was going on. That's all kind of new stuff. People would just use a handkerchief or a cloth napkin. I set my cloth napkins out to show y'all. I have a variety of different shapes, size, and colors. Use old material or buy new material. Make different shapes and sizes of cloth napkins for dinner time. It will save you a lot on using your paper towels. Cloth toilet paper is another one. They have a really cheap bag of washcloths. I think I mentioned this on another video. And we just have a little shelf in the bathroom that has what is listed as cloth toilet paper. And you would just use a sealable pail, or they have pails with the little buckets that you can pick up. And you can look into that deeper if you're wanting to go completely that route. But if you run out, what are you going to do? You have to have something. So we have a backup. Always have a backup for the backup. And some people color code different napkins for different BMs or PMs. So you just have to figure out with your family, you know, what works for you and go through that process. And also with saying the 5-gallon pails or buckets, Dollar Tree, you can get lots of mop buckets and pails. I would suggest getting extra stuff like that just to wash dirty clothes, soiled clothes, to haul water with, to clean stuff. Sometimes people don't have mop buckets. They have all these little fancy Swiffer moppers and stuff like that that don't even require a bucket. But having a bunch of buckets around are great and handy for hauling stuff, carrying stuff. And you still could get them pretty inexpensive. And also, I believe Tractor Supply and places like that have the food grade 5-gallon buckets that are really reasonable. So definitely need some types of containers to haul water and haul goods in. And just if you're out in the yard doing laundry, how are you going to do laundry? All you really need is a good 5-gallon bucket and a plunger. And then if you have another clothes basket, if you don't have a wringer washer, strainer, washing machine, which I do have one, it's not hooked up yet. You can use a plunger again in a clothes basket that's empty and keep squishing it with the plunger and get all the excess water out. And you're going to need a clothesline. How are you going to dry your clothes? And that not just for outside, but you can hang clotheslines inside, hang clotheslines on the porch, on your garage, in a shed, in a shop. If it's winter, if it's cold, if it's raining, you can find ways to still hang out clothes. You're still going to have laundry. You're still going to need a way to wash clothes. I don't care how many clothes you have, eventually you're going to have to wash clothes if it goes on for a long period of time. So having a laundry line, a clothes line, which is solar dryer, works great. We put ours to use pretty much once a week. So definitely something to think about. Don't forget about the clothespins. You can get by without clothespins, but I like my clothespins, and I definitely have extras of all of that as well. Water catchment system. Definitely need a way to catch water. Rain barrels. Make one of a drum. Lots of different ways. Lots of good information online about collecting water. And also, I would recommend a way to sanitize the water. The little straws that you can carry in backpacks for water sanitizing. And also the like the Alexa Pure and stuff like that is another good source. But also just boiling water for so long. I think it's 15 minutes to sanitize it, and then strain it, and then bottle it or use it, whichever. A good source of communication. If you don't have electricity, your television's probably not going to work. Yes, you may have solar or something like that, and if you do, that's good. You'll be able to still see what's going on, but it's going to be important to know what's going on in your area and all around. So walkie-talkies are good within people in your own area, neighbors and stuff like that, or if one person's out back doing work and somebody else is in the front, so you can keep up with each other. Make sure it does have an emergency connection on it, to where if you have an emergency you still can get help. Those are a little more expensive, but very well worth it, and could be extremely life-saving. A hand crank radio. This is a Voyager. It is very good. It's a more modern one. It has the hand crank right here where you can crank it. The crank is very easy to crank. The other thing that this one has is a solar panel, so you can charge it outside in the sun, and it also has a bright light on the back. Rechargeable. It has the antenna and everything. It's very lightweight, and I don't think it was that expensive. Let's see what it says. I may have to put my glasses on. So it's a solar and crank weather alert multi-band radio with cell phone charger and a I think it says a PM3 iPod charger. But it has the all hazardous NOAA weather alert. So it's going to let you know what the worldly news is, what the weather is. Like I said, it's very lightweight. It's easy to read the dials. I mean, it's pretty big, so you can see they've improved it a lot. And I will leave the link to their website to give them credit for this radio. If you don't have emergency radio, I definitely recommend it, because you're going to need to know what's going on in your area. Now, more advanced, and I don't recommend it unless it's something you think you would like to have or would need to have to know what's going on locally in your area, because it is extremely expensive. And I've just recently, in the past few years, was able to get one because they are extremely expensive. Is a police scanner. And it also has a weather thing on here. You can have these, and this is a Uniden. It's supposed to be the best of the best on the market. I don't know what the numbers is on it. I'll look it up too and leave it in the description. It has the belt clip. It has a little hanging strap. It's rechargeable. I can charge it on my little solar panel. This, to me, I think is a good thing to have if you have the extra money and you have everything else already in place, because this is going to let you know locally. Now, it's programmed. In our state, we have parishes, so I'm kind of in the middle of a bunch of different parishes. So we have like 4 different parishes that surround us, that's all around us, we paid extra to have them preset it and program it, so all I have to do is turn it on. Now, I can't talk back to them, but I can know if there's a criminal loose, if there's a bomb threat, if there's something going on close. If there was a robbery, if there was an accident, if someone died, it will let me know all of that in my general area. So I think that's important, because it lets you know what's going on all around you locally. Another one is CB radios. That used to be a popular thing when I was a teenager. And so you can still communicate with people. I do my walkie-talkie on Wednesdays sometimes, and that's what that was inspired by. But walkie-talkies still work. They still run on a different radio frequency than all the new modern cell phone towers and all that stuff, so they should still work. And also ham radios. Ham radios, again, is kind of like the police scanner. It'll let you know what's going on all over the world when you can shoot skip and find out what's going on around the world. We do have that kind of stuff. We've always had it. My neighbor is big into CB radios, ham radios. So we definitely have that kind of stuff so that we can see what's going on before cell phones were popular. So, I mean, even if we can charge our cell phones, or the tower's going to be charged, they may be in some places, especially bigger cities, but I feel like in more rural areas, it's probably not going to be as important as in the large cities, because they're going to try to keep those going for hospitals and stuff like that. So alarm systems, again, you're gonna if you have the solar powered ones or the battery operated ones or electric ones, if we still have power, I definitely recommend some type of alarm system. And I don't mean going and paying some company every month $500 to watch your house or whatever it is. I don't even know. They have different alarm systems that are motion activated and stuff like that, and they'll chime in your house and let you know. My door alarms like that, the drive alarm, and then of course I can't tell you where the rest of them are, but we have them in multiple different places to alert us if there's an intruder, someone trespassing, or even just wild animals. So those are good to have. Definitely, that way you won't be caught off guard. And they even have the little alarms that you can carry with you, the base station, that are battery operated. So if you're out doing something, you can still be alerted that someone's up at your house or whatever while you're out working. Another big one that I've recently learned about is ventilation is extremely important. If we don't have power, the windows would be open. That a lot of the newer houses only have like one window for an emergency window that actually opens. I don't like that. I think that's just crazy. And I get it, if you're in a city, you probably don't want to have your windows open, but most people in the country have windows that open. But it's a good time to check to make sure your windows still do open for good ventilation, even in the winter time, and especially during the summertime. Make sure your screens are good. Even if you have good screens, insects are still going to get in. So think about, the sleeping arrangements, the heat, no ventilation. I like the old-fashioned little hand fans. We have some solar fans. Just anything that's going to make you a little more comfortable at night, especially in the south because it's so hot. It does cool off a little bit, but it's not going to be like your air conditioned setting. So make sure your windows do open, and plus make sure you're in a place that you feel safe to even have your windows open. Some people may not be able to open their windows, may not be in a safe place, maybe an apartment complex or a building, a duplex or something. Windows may not even open. So that's something to think about. Make sure you have good ventilation and that you have good screens. Let's see. Oh, on the alarm systems, don't forget about the old-fashioned snares and traps, cut lines, and noisy trip lines. So even if you don't have a alarm system that's battery operated, don't forget about the old ways that people used to know what was going on their property by listening to noise and bells and stuff if an intruder or a wild animal tripped them, like bears or trespassers. So there's lots of different ways. You got to think outside the box on different things that you can do that's going to alert you if there's something going on that shouldn't be happening. Of course, make sure you have basic garden tools, manual tools, screws, nails, tarps, tape, for multiple different things. And I won't go into that right now, maybe later, but there's lots of different reasons why you need multiple different sizes of tarps, some good tape, old manual tools. I know we all have a lot of electric modern tools, but it's good to have the old manual tools because, if we don't have power, they may not work. And if they don't have power, of course, they're not going to work. But you know what I mean. You're still going to want to build things, work on things, and need to fix things. So make sure you have some of that stuff on backup. Most country folks, especially in the rural areas, we have extras of all of those things. But some beginners, and if you don't have much space to store things, may not have thought about that. But you definitely want to have some basic garden tools and basic tools, period. So I think that is about all that I'm going to cover for right now. So I think next week I'm going to talk about health issues, taking care of children, preferably like small children. If you have an elderly family member, home protection, home safety protection, how to keep your family safe, provide protection for your family and why you should, or the dangers if you don't. And then we're going to go over pretty much cover a basic first aid supply list, checklist, things that we have on hand that may give you an idea that you may or may not agree with, but it just gives some of the beginners a starting place as to what they might need. And I think that's really it. And you know, on how whenever the situation changes, when you have an elderly family member or small child or unexpected family that may need help, different things, different topics there we'll discuss on how to deal with our own health issues, and if other people have health issues or special needs, stuff like that, and go over some first aid basics. If you have any more questions or comments, feel free to email me. If you have any more ideas or suggestions, there's no way I can cover everything in one video, and years and years and years of preparing and being frugal and not off-grid, but living that way as much as we can to a degree. So there's, like I said before, there's no perfect blueprint on what to do, what not to do, because there are things that could happen that we can't even fathom, that we can't even imagine. So all we can do is the best that we can do. So thanks for joining me today. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be back next week with another part on how to prepare for uncertain times and things that I do, and share it with all of you. So farewell, Homestead family, friends, and neighbors from the Cozy Cottage Homestead.